Brett Chaos. Pache used to be a big name in the Bandidos and the Brothers for Life, known for his fierce reputation and often pictured holding a gun as a sign of his toughness. But everything changed on December the 7th, 2023, at the busy Kingsway City Shopping Center, where CCTV cameras caught an intense moment that would completely alter the path of Pache's life. Usually, these cameras just capture regular shopping scenes, but this time, they recorded what looked like a scene from a biker showdown. Pache, with his tough guy image and strong ties to infamous biker groups, found himself in a face-off with two Mongols members, Brad Baker and Clovis Chonga. These weren't just any opponents, they were serious players in the biker world, making this encounter far more than just an accidental meeting. Tension filled the air as Baker approached Pache from one side, while Chonga moved in from the other. The Mongols had Pache surrounded, and onlookers might have expected a typical biker showdown, with Pache standing his ground. But what happened next was totally unexpected. Instead of fighting or even negotiating, Pache made a split-second choice. He drew a knife, ready for action, but then turned and ran, straight into the shopping center, away from the Mongols. Once this footage hit the internet, it spread fast. People weren't just surprised by the fact that he ran. It was who ran that caught everyone's attention. Brett Chaos Pache, the tough guy known for his fearlessness, was now seen in a completely different way. This video didn't just show a moment of panic, it started a turning point in Pache's life, challenging the image he'd worked so hard to create and reaching audiences far beyond the shopping center. But how would the Rock Machine MC, his new club, react to one of their so-called fearless members running from a fight? On January 3rd, 2024, the Rock Machine MC posted a major update on Facebook. They were cutting ties with their Perth and South Australia chapters. More importantly, they announced that Brett Chaos Pache was no longer a member and was now in bad standing with the club. This decision came after the viral video showed Pache fleeing from the Mongols at Kingsway City Shopping Center. For a club that prides itself on toughness, seeing one of their own members run away was deeply embarrassing. By kicking out Pache and disowning his chapter, the club sent a clear message about their expectations. They want members who embody fearlessness and strength, and Pache's actions didn't match that image. Losing his spot in the club seriously hurt his reputation in the motorcycle world, where respect and toughness are everything. Brett Chaos. Pache's life has always been a roller coaster, full of clashes with the law and risky decisions that reflect his deep ties to the biker scene. Brett Chaos Pache was once a major figure in the Bandidos, one of the most infamous motorcycle gangs. He was right in the thick of it when big fights broke out in public places, where gang members often used standover tactics to intimidate others. The violence would quickly spiral out of control, leading to massive fights. One of these incidents got so intense that Pache felt he needed to flee Australia altogether. He headed off to Thailand, hoping to escape the Australian police. But Pache didn't stay away forever. After some time, he decided to come back to Australia and was arrested as soon as he landed. This wasn't a shock, given his long list of connections to illegal activities with both the Bandidos and another group called Brothers for Life. Pache was heavily involved in these gangs' activities, often breaking the law and playing a central role in their operations. Coming back meant he'd have to answer for his past actions, including the famous Broad Beach brawl and other violent incidents. The police had plenty of questions lined up for him, marking a turning point where he had to face the consequences of his life in the gang world. For Pache, being in the biker scene wasn't just a club membership. It was a way of life filled with constant danger and illegal activities. He didn't just go along for the ride, he was known as a key figure, someone tough and unafraid to throw himself into risky situations. But with this reputation came endless trouble, from massive fights to hiding in Thailand, and then dealing with arrests back in Australia. His life has been a roller coaster, largely because of his deep ties to the outlaw biker world. The Rock Machine MC, another big motorcycle club with a reputation for toughness and even some legal trouble, also follows a strict code. They care a lot about their image, especially when it comes to looking strong and fearless. So, when Brett Chaos Pache was filmed running away from a fight at Kingsway City Shopping Center, it was a big deal for the club. This went against everything the Rock Machine MC stands for. They expect their members to be brave, stand their ground, and never back down from a challenge. Pache's decision to run showed just the opposite, which didn't sit well with the club. The incident didn't just affect Pache's status. It sent a clear message that the Rock Machine MC doesn't tolerate any behavior that makes them look weak. They take their reputation very seriously and will make swift decisions to protect it. Pache's actions that day showed the club that he wasn't living up to their standards. As a result, they chose to kick him out and publicly announce that he was no longer part of their group, making sure everyone knew they weren't afraid to uphold their values, even with a well-known member like Pache. Brett "Chaos" Pache being kicked out of the Rock Machine MC is a huge deal, not just because he lost his spot in the club, but because it shows how fast a reputation can turn. Pache, once known as a tough, fearless figure, faced a dramatic change after one moment where he appeared scared. Now, everyone's watching and wondering, what's next for Chaos Pache? Have you ever seen a single action that changed everything? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's dive into the world of the Hells Angels, one of the most notorious motorcycle clubs in history. These stories cover some of the most infamous members now serving time behind bars. Ever wonder what the most shocking Hells Angels crime was? Meet Otis Garrett, a name that became known for terror and infamy. His story begins in the chaotic summer of 1977, a year that would soon be rocked by a string of brutal events stretching far beyond San Francisco and Oregon. Garrett, once the president of the Hells Angels Vallejo chapter, was at the center of a chilling saga. That summer, lives were shattered in a suburban neighborhood, leaving behind unanswered questions and a sense of horror that would linger for years. Among the victims was 24-year-old Margot Compton, a young woman with unfulfilled dreams. Alongside her was 19-year-old Gary Sessler, whose life was cut short in its prime. These murders were only the beginning of a crime that would haunt investigators for nearly 2 decades. As police uncovered more, they found a heartbreaking scene. Margot's 6-year-old twin daughters, dressed in matching swimsuits, lying lifeless on the floor with their teddy bears by their sides. The girls were each shot behind the ear with a .22 caliber bullet while clutching their beloved toys. Margot, pinned and forced to watch the unspeakable act, was then shot 3 times in the head. It was a chilling act of brutality that left no room for mercy, cementing Garrett's legacy of terror. Gary Sessler met a similarly tragic fate, gunned down before he could intervene in the terrifying massacre. The local community was left in shock, struggling to comprehend how such unimaginable violence could happen in their midst. Police faced one of the most disturbing crimes they had ever encountered. At the center of this horror was Otis Garrett, a name only known in criminal circles at the time, already serving a life sentence in Lompoc Federal Prison, California for a narcotics conviction. Garrett was drawn into a murder trial that gripped the nation. As details emerged, Garrett was painted as a powerful figure, a millionaire drug dealer who had built his fortune on methamphetamine, embracing a life of crime with unsettling dedication. His story quickly became one of the most disturbing chapters in Hells Angels history, marking the beginning of their legacy of violent defiance against law and order. Garrett was ultimately convicted on 4 counts of murder, receiving 4 consecutive life sentences, ensuring that he would never leave prison. His chilling story became a permanent reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface. But Garrett's story was only the beginning. The Hells Angels continued to make waves in the criminal underworld, and their notorious reputation only grew with time.
The South Jersey doctor charged with killing his wife will remain behind bars for the time being. A detention hearing was held today for Dr. James Kaufman and the 4 other defendants charged last week in the murder of radio host April Kaufman. She was shot to death in her Linwood, New Jersey home in May 2012. Police say Dr. Kaufman had April Kaufman killed to safeguard a drug ring he was running with the Pagans Motorcycle Club.
Our next story focuses on Dr. James Kaufman, an unlikely figure who seemed worlds apart from the biker gang lifestyle. A respected endocrinologist from New Jersey, Dr. Kaufman was known for his medical skills and, outwardly, appeared to be living the American dream with a successful career and a respected community role. However, behind this mask of respectability lay a sinister secret. Dr. Kaufman led a double life, one tangled deeply with the criminal underworld through a surprising and dangerous alliance with the Hells Angels. His partner in this descent into darkness was none other than his wife, April Kaufman. April was a well-known radio host and an active supporter of veterans' rights. Little did she know, however, that her husband was hiding a chilling side that would ultimately bring tragedy into both their lives. After nearly 2 decades evading law enforcement, Randy Moore Georger's notorious run came to an end in 2014. Captured after a massive multi-agency operation, his arrest was a defining moment for both law enforcement and the criminal underworld. For years, Jorger had lived as a phantom, navigating the shadows of society, building a legacy of rebellion and relentless defiance that made him both feared and respected within Hell's Angels and beyond. Jorger's rise through the Hell's Angels ranks began with his role as head of the Chicago chapter, a position he earned through loyalty, raw power, and an unbreakable allegiance to the club's code of mayhem and intimidation. Known for his brutal efficiency and his quick escalation to violence, Jorger quickly gained a reputation that allowed him to ascend even further to become the Midwest president of the Hells Angels. In this role, he oversaw an empire that stretched beyond state lines, managing a sprawling network that dabbled in every imaginable vice, from drug trafficking and weapons violations to orchestrated acts of violence and arson. His influence within the Midwest was such that he controlled a vast network of narcotics distribution and weapon deals, often moving significant quantities across state borders while operating in a seemingly impenetrable web of secrecy. With a penchant for evasion, Jorger's ability to remain free despite numerous charges baffled law enforcement. Over the years, he acquired a mythic status as one of the longest-standing fugitives, his image immortalized as a symbol of elusive criminal expertise. In 2014, however, Jorger's luck ran out. Authorities finally managed to apprehend him in a high-stakes operation that required meticulous planning, countless hours of surveillance, and coordinated forces across multiple states. His capture marked the end of an era for the Midwest's underground and sent a clear message that even the most notorious criminals couldn't evade justice forever. Jorger's story is a stark reminder of the dark allure of power within organizations like Hell's Angels. His arrest marked a significant blow to the club's Chicago operations, impacting their influence across the Midwest. Despite his capture, his legacy of infamy lives on, a chilling testament to the lengths people may go to in pursuit of power and notoriety. With Jorger behind bars, law enforcement achieved a milestone in the battle against organized crime, yet his story only scratches the surface of the vast and complex world of the Hells Angels. Stay with us as we uncover even more stories of infamous members whose lives have become synonymous with the dark side of rebellion, each tale a window into the violent allure of a world most only know through headlines. The trial of Raymond Ray Ray Folks marked a turning point in the long-standing battle between law enforcement and organized motorcycle clubs like the Hells Angels. As the president of the Sonoma County chapter, Folks wielded significant power, enforcing an environment of violence and control that extended beyond the club and into the community. His leadership was defined by intimidation and brutal enforcement of loyalty, creating a subculture where crime was glorified and rivals or dissenters were silenced through threats and violence. Law enforcement agencies had long suspected Ray Ray of various crimes, from drug trafficking to assault and other violent acts. However, he managed to evade convictions for years, slipping through the legal system due to a combination of intimidation, witness fear, and his complex criminal network. His influence within the Hells Angels and his evasive tactics made him a notorious figure, known not only for his crimes, but also for his seemingly untouchable status. The trial that followed pulled back the curtain on Ray Ray's reign of terror, exposing evidence that implicated him in a range of illegal activities. Prosecutors presented testimony and documentation that depicted him as a ruthless leader who used fear and loyalty to control both club members and the criminal network he oversaw. For many, the conviction of Raymond Folks symbolized the beginning of the end for an era of unchecked brutality in the Hells Angels operations in Sonoma County. Ray Ray's sentencing to prison closed the chapter on a life marked by defiance, but his legacy serves as a stark reminder of the dangers that lie within the world of organized motorcycle clubs. His story, like that of other infamous members of the Hells Angels, underscores the inevitable consequences of a life devoted to violence and crime. Yet, The stories within the Hells Angels are far from over, as their vast criminal network and history of rebellion continue to impact communities and challenge law enforcement across the nation. Stay with us as we dive further into the tales of other notorious figures within the Hells Angels, exploring the complex and often tragic lives of individuals drawn to a world that promises loyalty and power, but ultimately demands a steep price. The audacious rise of Mick Hawi to the top of the Comanchero Motorcycle Club marked a seismic shift within Australia's outlaw motorcycle scene. Hawi, originally born in Beirut, Lebanon in 1980, moved with his family to Sydney, Australia in search of safety from the ongoing Lebanese civil war. Growing up in Sydney's suburbs, Hawi's imposing physical presence and assertive personality made him a standout figure even in his teenage years. But it wasn't until he joined the Comanchero Motorcycle Club in 1999, at just 19, that he set himself on a path that would intertwine him with the most brutal aspects of Australia's organized crime world. Founded in 1968 by William Jock Ross, the Comanchero Club was initially a brotherhood for bikers who felt like outsiders, unaccepted by mainstream society. However, as time passed and conflicts over territory and power grew, the club began to intertwine itself with organized crime, becoming associated with drug trafficking, extortion, and violent turf wars. Mick Hawi quickly ascended through the ranks, thanks to his unrelenting ambition and charisma. By 2002, he led a faction of younger members in a brutal coup against the club's founder, Jock Ross, challenging his authority in a move that would forever alter the club's legacy. In this insurrection, Hawi and his supporters mercilessly beat Ross, symbolically stripping him of his Harley-Davidson and the club colors, a symbolic gesture that underscored the shift in power. For Hawi, it was about more than just control. It was a statement of dominance and a bid to redefine the Comanchero legacy. Under his leadership as national president, the club intensified its presence in the criminal underworld, expanding its influence in drug distribution networks and becoming embroiled in bloody clashes with rival gangs. Hawi's rise to power, however, set off a chain of violent rivalries. The 2009 Sydney Airport brawl, a violent confrontation between the Comanchero and the Hells Angels, thrust him into the national spotlight. This public display of violence led to Hawi's arrest and eventual conviction on manslaughter charges, resulting in a prison sentence. Yet, even behind bars, he remained a figure of influence and fear within the club. Upon his release, Mick Hawi attempted to transition into a quieter life. However, the weight of his past actions and numerous enemies made a peaceful retirement elusive. In 2018, he was gunned down in a suspected gang-related assassination while sitting in his car at a gym parking lot in Sydney, a chilling end to a life steeped in rebellion, violence, and power struggles. Mick Hawi's story is emblematic of the perils that accompany power in outlaw motorcycle clubs. His journey from an immigrant seeking stability to one of Australia's most notorious biker bosses serves as a stark reminder of how deeply intertwined crime, violence, and loyalty can be in the world of outlaw clubs. His rise and fall highlight both the allure and the fatal consequences of a life spent on the edge of society, and his legacy continues to resonate within the annals of Australia's criminal history. Mick Hawi's life came to a violent and public end on February 15, 2018, in a stark reminder of the brutal consequences of his years at the center of organized crime. After being released from prison and attempting to lay low, Hawi was ambushed in broad daylight, shot multiple times in his car as he left a gym in Sydney. His assassination underscored the lethal rivalries and dangers that remained ever present, even for those who attempted to step back from gang life. The seeds of this tragic finale were sown years prior. In 2009, Hawi became nationally infamous after the shocking airport brawl between the Comanchero and Hells Angels. Hawi and Hells Angels. National President Derek Wainohu exchanged heated words on a flight from Melbourne to Sydney, escalating tensions. By the time the plane landed, both men had called for their gang members to meet them at the airport. The arrival hall soon turned into a scene of unprecedented chaos as the two groups clashed. Bystanders watched in horror as gang members armed themselves with metal bollards and other improvised weapons, turning the terminal into a battlefield. In the midst of this melee, Anthony Zervas, the brother of a Hells Angels member, was fatally beaten, a death that intensified the nation's focus on outlaw motorcycle gangs. In the wake of Zervas's death, Hawi was charged and eventually convicted of murder in 2011, a conviction celebrated by law enforcement as a significant step forward in combating organized biker violence. In 2014, the New South Wales Court of Criminal Appeal overturned Hawi's murder conviction, citing insufficient evidence. This controversial reversal prompted public debate about the challenges of prosecuting members of organized crime and the complexities within Australia's legal system. As part of a plea deal, Hawi pled guilty to manslaughter, receiving a reduced sentence of 6 years and 2 months, with a non-parole period of 3 years and 6 months. Though he avoided a murder conviction, the label of a violent criminal lingered. Following his release, Hawi's attempts to distance himself from gang life proved futile. The danger surrounding him persisted. His assassination in 2018 brought his turbulent journey to an end, a dramatic close that punctuated years of entanglement with the criminal underworld. Hawi's life, from his meteoric rise within the Comanchero to his final days, serves as a stark testament to the unyielding and often lethal nature of biker gang rivalries in Australia. Today, Hawi's story symbolizes both the allure and peril of a life rooted in crime and rebellion. It sheds light on the deeply ingrained violence within outlaw motorcycle clubs and serves as a cautionary tale about the irreversible path of violence that so often defines those who rise to power within these organizations. Mick Hawi's assassination on February 15, 2018, marked a violent and tumultuous chapter in the ongoing saga of organized crime in Australia, particularly within the outlaw motorcycle club scene. After completing a routine workout at the Fitness First gym in Rockdale, Hawi was approached by a gunman who unleashed a barrage of bullets at close range. The attack was brutally swift, inflicting severe injuries to his head and body, leaving little chance for survival. Despite the rapid response from bystanders and emergency personnel, Hawi succumbed to his injuries shortly after arriving at St. George Hospital. The murder sent shockwaves through the community and sparked an extensive investigation. Authorities scoured local CCTV footage and conducted numerous interviews, yet the identity of the gunman remained a mystery. Several theories emerged regarding the motive behind the hit, reflecting the intricate and dangerous dynamics of the biker world. One prominent suspect was Yusuf Nazlioglu, a former friend and associate of Hawi. Their friendship reportedly deteriorated over a seemingly trivial incident during a fishing trip. In the wake of their fallout, rumors circulated that Nazlioglu felt betrayed and humiliated, possibly leading him to orchestrate Hawi's assassination. However, the investigation revealed that the motives behind the killing were likely more complex than a mere personal betrayal. Theories proliferated, suggesting that Hawi's murder could have stemmed from internal strife within the Comanchero, exacerbated by power vacuums resulting from Hawi's leadership and exit from the club. Additionally, rival gangs could have played a role, as Hawi's history and the Comanchero's tumultuous relationships with other outlaw motorcycle factions added layers of potential motives. In a world where alliances are often fragile and loyalties can shift in an instant, the nature of biker politics is notoriously opaque. This murky landscape makes pinpointing a single reason or suspect nearly impossible. As law enforcement delved deeper into the investigation, they encountered a maze of conflicting narratives and motives, leaving many questions unanswered. Hawi's death illuminated the chaotic reality of the criminal motorcycle gang landscape, highlighting how loyalty can become a double-edged sword, with friendships morphing into fatal rivalries. His murder, still officially unsolved, serves as a grim reminder of the lawlessness and volatility inherent in gang conflicts. The true mastermind behind Hawi's killing remains elusive, with lingering questions about whether it was a result of a gang feud, an internal power struggle, or an act of vengeance from a former ally. As authorities continue to piece together the puzzle, the case exemplifies the dark and unpredictable nature of life in the outlaw motorcycle world, leaving the public and law enforcement grappling with the complexities of loyalty, betrayal, and the ever-present specter of violence.
One of 3 men charged over the shooting murder of former Comanchero's bikie boss Mick Hawi has been granted bail.
The murder of Mick Hawi, a prominent figure in the Comanchero Motorcycle Club, is a multifaceted case that highlights the volatile world of outlaw motorcycle gangs and their culture. Here are some key points and theories regarding the motivations behind his assassination. 1. Gang rivalries and feuds. Hawi's role in the Comanchero placed him in the midst of fierce rivalries, particularly with the Hells Angels. The violent clashes and long-standing conflicts between these two organizations are well documented. His murder could have been a retaliatory act, stemming from the ongoing power struggles and violence that characterize the biker scene in Australia. 2. Internal power struggles. Biker clubs often face internal conflicts as members vie for power and influence. Hawi's leadership could have made him a target for dissent within his own ranks. If there were factions within the Comanchero that disagreed with his approach or sought to take control, it's plausible that his murder was orchestrated by someone he considered a friend or ally turned enemy. 3rd, personal betrayal. The narrative surrounding his relationship with Yusuf Nazlioglu suggests that personal grievances could have played a significant role in his murder. Their fallout over what seemed to be a minor incident may have escalated, leading to a desire for revenge. Personal betrayals can have deadly consequences in the high-stakes world of outlaw motorcycle clubs. 4th, media influence and public image. Sonny Barger's connection to the Sons of Anarchy series illustrates how popular media can shape the perception of outlaw culture. Hawi's notoriety could have made him a target not only for rival gangs, but also for those within the culture who felt overshadowed by his influence. The depiction of outlaw bikers in media may lead to real-life consequences, where rivalries and perceptions of loyalty become heightened. The mystery of the murder. Despite extensive investigations, the true mastermind behind Hawi's assassination remains unclear. The investigation has revealed various theories, with multiple suspects and motives, but no definitive conclusions. This uncertainty reflects the chaotic nature of biker politics and the challenges law enforcement faces when dealing with organized crime. Conclusion: Mick Hawi's murder is emblematic of the dangers inherent in the outlaw motorcycle world, where loyalty can quickly turn to betrayal and rivalries can lead to violence. The complex interplay of personal relationships, gang politics, and external influences contributes to the mystique and tragedy surrounding his death. While various theories exist, the true reason may remain hidden within the shadows of the biker underworld. Sons of Anarchy offered viewers a gritty and authentic glimpse into the world of outlaw motorcycle clubs, drawing heavily from real-life experiences and figures in the biker culture. Here are some key points and themes that highlight the show's impact and connections to historical figures like Sonny Barger. The incorporation of real club politics, conflicts, and lifestyle elements lent the show a sense of realism that resonated with audiences. Sonny Barger's influence. As a co-founder of the Hells Angels, Sonny Barger's legacy greatly influenced the show's authenticity. He was instrumental in shaping the public perception of the Hells Angels through his writings and appearances. His autobiography, Hell's Angel: The Life and Times of Sonny Barger, provided insight into the mindset and culture of outlaw bikers. Thematic exploration, loyalty and brotherhood. The show explores deep themes of loyalty and brotherhood among the club members, often depicting the complexities of relationships that can both uplift and destroy. Consequences of a life outside societal norms. By portraying activities such as drug smuggling, weapons trafficking, and extreme violence, Sons of Anarchy delved into the moral ambiguities and consequences of a life lived outside the law, presenting characters who struggled with their identities and choices. Controversy and ethical concerns. Romanticizing criminality. Critics raised concerns about the potential glamorization of outlaw culture and criminal activities. By showcasing the thrilling aspects of biker life, the series could inadvertently normalize behaviors associated with violence and crime. Barger's controversial legacy. Barger's involvement with the show also sparked debates about ethical storytelling, considering the Hells Angels' notorious history. The collaboration with individuals linked to criminal activities prompted questions about the implications of representing such figures in popular media. Realism in production. Real biker consultants. The series employed actual members of the Hells Angels as consultants, including actors like David LaBrava, Happy Loman, who brought genuine expertise in motorcycle culture and craftsmanship to their roles. Kurt Sutter's role. The creator of the series, Kurt Sutter, also played the character of Otto Delaney, a move intended to protect other actors from the more brutal scenes. His involvement underscored the personal investment and commitment to authenticity in storytelling. Lasting legacy spin-offs and continued impact. The show's success paved the way for spin-offs, such as Mayans MC, which explores the lives of the Mayans Motorcycle Club, further expanding the narrative universe and keeping the spirit of Samcro alive. Sonny Barger's enduring influence. Barger's life story, marked by defiance and adventure, left a lasting mark on biker culture and the portrayal of outlaw lifestyles in media. Even after facing health challenges, he remained a pivotal figure until his passing in 2022. Conclusion: Sons of Anarchy succeeded in blending fiction with real-life elements of outlaw motorcycle culture, creating a narrative that resonated with audiences while also sparking discussions about the implications of such portrayals. The show's legacy continues to influence both popular culture and the perception of outlaw bikers, leaving a complex and multifaceted impact on viewers and the industry. Sonny Barger's life and legacy intertwine significantly with the culture of outlaw motorcycle clubs, particularly through his role in the Hells Angels and his portrayal in Sons of Anarchy. Here's a closer examination of these elements. Zorana's role in Sonny's life, marriage, and partnership. Sonny Barger married Sonny in 2005, and they spent 18 years together, sharing a life filled with adventures on motorcycles. While her life before marriage remains largely private, Zorana's presence offered Sonny support and companionship during his later years. Private life. Unlike Sonny, who was a public figure, Zorana chose to keep her life relatively discreet, focusing less on individual achievements and more on her relationship with Sonny. This dynamic highlights the contrast between their public personas and private realities. Sonny Barger's impact. Charismatic leader or outlaw symbol. Opinions about Sonny vary widely. Some view him as a charismatic leader who epitomized freedom and rebellion against societal norms. In contrast, others see him as a representation of outlaw behavior and the criminal activities often associated with motorcycle clubs. Authenticity in Sons of Anarchy. Barger's involvement in Sons of Anarchy brought a layer of authenticity to the series, as his real-life experiences lent credibility to the portrayal of outlaw bikers. However, his association with a controversial subculture also raised ethical questions about glorifying a lifestyle that includes violence and crime. Legacy in outlaw culture. Shaping the Hells Angels. As a central figure in the Hells Angels, Barger's influence helped shape the club's identity and culture. His leadership and charisma contributed to the mythology surrounding the outlaw biker lifestyle, framing it as one of adventure, camaraderie, and defiance. Symbol of untamed freedom. Sonny's life story, filled with escapades and a rebellious spirit, serves as a symbol of untamed freedom. He became emblematic of the allure of the open road and the complex dynamics within the outlaw motorcycle community. Cultural significance. Media representation. Barger's portrayal on television, particularly in Sons of Anarchy, solidified his status as a cultural icon. The show sparked discussions about the romanticization of outlaw culture and the real-life implications of such portrayals. Enduring influence. Despite mixed opinions about his legacy, Sonny Barger's impact on outlaw motorcycle culture and television history is undeniable. His story continues to resonate with audiences, reflecting broader themes of rebellion, loyalty, and the quest for freedom in a world that often imposes limits. Conclusion. Sonny Barger's life, marked by his adventurous spirit and controversial choices, captures the essence of outlaw motorcycle culture. His marriage to Zorana and the authenticity he brought to Sons of Anarchy only add to the complexity of his legacy. Whether viewed as a hero or a villain, Sonny Barger remains a significant figure in the narrative of outlaw bikers and their representation in popular culture.